Crush your fears and silence the critics. According to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Does that sound right? This means, if you go to a funeral, you're better off in the casket than doing the eulogy. Jerry Seinfeld. Having fears about performing in public high-stakes situations is absolutely natural. This stuff can be scary. I regularly have scary moments myself. It's how we deal with the scary stuff that helps define who we are and how well we succeed. Our fears can be about looking stupid, making mistakes, failing, or even just showing others that we're nervous. Ultimately, we're afraid of being criticized or ridiculed. And maybe, deep, we're also afraid of truly revealing ourselves. If someone rejects our half-hearted attempt, they haven't really rejected us, right? But if we are vulnerable and give everything we have, and we are rejected, whoa. What does that say about who we really are and what we're actually capable of achieving? I think it's what we most want, to be known, warts and all, and still be respected and loved. It's natural to worry about, obsess over, or dread your next presentation, speech, interview, networking event, or even a blind date. Maybe you wrestle with questions about how to prepare. Perhaps you lie awake at night thinking about what your boss or best client will say about your next performance. It's natural to worry about how to handle public speaking situations that go wrong or even, heaven forbid, bomb. Even if these moments are relatively scarce for you, you'll benefit from this chapter, wherein I address the twin roots of the fear of public speaking, uncertainty, and the fear of being criticized. There are two types of criticism that will shut you down or make you play small. The internal kind that comes from the voices of judgment that run rampant in your brain, and the external kind that comes from members of an audience, your peers, or your superiors. As much as we'd like to avoid them, we are always going to face the external fault-finders. But we don't have to play that role ourselves and become our own worst critics. Silencing the internal critic. Our brains do a great job of running repeating loops of how things will go wrong when we take the stage and step up to the mic, literally or figuratively. These images and voices typically come to us from our childhood because the criticism and doubts of our parents and caregivers leave deeper tracks in our minds than many of the other judges we encounter later in life, though these can come back to us as well. However, the more you pay attention to this negative chatter, the more you hear it because fear activates your stress responses. Let's circle back to Lori, whose story I told in Chapter 1. Lori was the shy CPA who enrolled in one of my workshops in 2013 and ultimately had the courage to speak openly about her childhood, its effect on her confidence, and her desire for change. Her speech ended up bringing down the house. Lori's voice was liberated by her accountability and honest backstory. I had taken away her note cards, so she couldn't rely on the story she'd been telling for years, which wasn't her true voice. She had to let go of the shame associated with how her mother had treated her and the false self she created as armor against that pain. Secondly, Lori had the courage to keep the promise she'd made to herself, to me, and to her peers when she enrolled in the event. She had promised to do the work to become a better speaker and find her voice. And she kept that promise. Lori's positive experience, bolstered by the encouraging and supportive crowd, is a source of confidence that enables her to share her voice more and more. In so doing, her voice will continue to grow and change. Eventually, she'll be telling a new story in a voice that is simultaneously the same and different than the one she found that day. Because she's removed this block and silenced her inner critic, she's on to a new lesson, a new story, perhaps even a new audience. Silencing the negative voices in your head is directly tied to finding the different, but all authentic, characters you can play. Throughout the book, I will continue to help you silence your internal voices of doubt, because, ultimately, isn't that the secret to successful performance in all parts of your life? If the voices in your head put you down, make you feel small, or tell you that you're not good enough, it's not likely you'll get too far. However, if the voices in your head are positive, encouraging, and supportive, telling you that you absolutely are capable of achieving your goals and dreams, you'll do just that.